Hostile down.
Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I want to talk to you about gaming whales. If you're in the gaming industry, you already know what I'm talking about, but if you're just a casual gamer or a player, you probably have never heard this term. I want to share it with you, explain what it is, and offer some opinions near the end of the video. Essentially, a whale is a gamer that spends a lot of money on microtransactions, micro DLC, pay-to-play, regular DLC. Whatever gamer it is that's spending the most amount of post-purchase money is going to be considered a whale. Originally, this was a term for rich Las Vegas gamblers that would come into the casino absolutely loaded, play all weekend, lose $100,000 and not care about it because they had the best experience, and that makes the casino more money than the poor players that just kind of come in and lose $20 here and there. However, it's now used in gaming, and roughly speaking, in any game with microtransactions, 75% of the money that you make on those microtransactions will come from less than 1% of players. Here's a screenshot I got from Delta DNA, which is a games industry website, and it shows that even amongst whales that spend a lot of money, there are greater whales. There are the white whales, the Moby Dick, the 0.1% of the 1%, and it shows you that they are spending more money than even the rest of the 1%. Interestingly though, the mega spenders tend to spend only in kind of tiny amounts, kind of a little bit at a time, instead of the big single purchases. This mostly applies to mobile games, and that's certainly where the idea started and kind of got growing, but the data roughly correlates to big games as well. That's League of Legends, that's Counter-Strike, that's Call of Duty, that's anything that has microtransactions in it is roughly going to make money based on this model. And at this point, I'm kind of pulling numbers out of my head, so if I'm a little bit wrong here, don't grill me, but I remember reading that League of Legends has between 50 and 60 million players every month, and that the lifetime value of a single player is only about $1.50. The game's free to play, and most people don't spend any or very much money on it. But whales that play League of Legends, that buy a lot of skins and all the new characters and all this stuff, can easily average over $500 in value, and those are the people that make money for Riot Games. Those are the people that make money for the League of Legends, and it works the same kind of way in Call of Duty. The people that really spend money on supply drops are going to be the whales, because that's just how this model works. When the average player really doesn't, they'll just do it once or twice, just a little bit, but some people will, over the course of a game, spend hundreds or thousands of dollars, and games have been increasingly designed to appeal to whales as well, and to get them to spend much more money. I learned from Cross at GDC and some other online resources that some mobile companies offer regular gifts to their mega spenders, or give them special attention, developer access, little pick-me-ups here and there. Sometimes they will literally send a care package to the house of a player that spends a lot of money. They'll give these people welcome back to the game gifts of a bunch of free coins or whatever to get them spending again, or literally even call them to ask if everything is okay. These mobile companies have whale retention departments, because most of the games you sign off all your data anyway. They will call you to make sure that you're doing okay and that you're still spending on these games, which is very crazy to me, but sometimes it goes wrong for these developers, especially in the mobile gaming spotlight, when there's no barrier to entry and you can just as easily go play another game. This guy right here, Stephen Barnes of Houston, spent over $2 million on a mobile game called Modern War. He led the biggest clan in the game. He was the single biggest spender in the game. His clan was the biggest spending, and he played the game for around 4 years. He was the single most valuable asset to the mobile game company, and honestly, he could probably support the game just on his own spending. However, the developer made a balance change in the game that he didn't like, that he felt really screwed it up, and it caused him to lead a boycott, him and his clan, of the game. On top of that, he wasn't the only one that was upset. He managed to organize this and got 22 out of 25 top clans in the game, and it's a very clan-oriented game, to quit playing. That immediately caused the mobile game company that made this, I think it was Gree if I'm not mistaken, to start hemorrhaging money. All of their top players were gone, and it worked. The developer rolled back the changes immediately. They went into full communication mode, and they basically bowed down to the will of the people that were spending and made the game the way that they wanted to play it. So the next question you want to ask me is, who are the whales? Well, surprisingly, they're basically like the stereotypes that you would expect. A lot of times when you dig into deep data, you find that stereotypes aren't really true. In this case, they kind of are. They're mostly male, about 2/3, and they tend to be younger on average than the average gamer that's playing the game. You guys are probably thinking like little kids, like 12, 13, or like 9-year-olds who got mommy and daddy's credit card. It's actually closer to late 20s, early 30s, and I know that sounds crazy, but the average age of gamers these days is actually quite old, and that's much lower than the average. Whales have some interesting other attributes. They're not lower income, they're middle to high income, mostly middle, not as much on the high as you would think, and whales tend to be very loyal to playing only one game versus non-whales. Regular players will play a variety of games, but whales tend to only play their one game, whatever it is. If it's a mobile game, if it's COD, if it's Counter-Strike, if it's Overwatch, whatever it is, that's what they're playing. They also play that game somewhat less frequently than the free users. You would think the whales would be the people that live in their basement, the die-hard, no-lifer, neckbeard types, but they tend to be slightly more casual than the free users. They play somewhat less games than them, and that does also factor into account that the free users are playing multiple games. And instead of spending money in giant gobs, they tend to spend money in small amounts that add up over time. They're just paying a couple of dollars here every day, get the new thing, open some boxes, pay to play, whatever. They're not like dropping thousands on it intentionally. So all of that I thought you should know, because this is going to be an increasingly important topic for any type of game design in the future, for any game in the future, and for any game that you play, because you have to know that they are in some way designed to extract money from whales. I do have an opinion about this. The rest of this is my opinion, and I wanted to offer it here at the end of the video. I think that games must embrace free users to have their experience fun, or the whales are gonna die out. If the game's not fun to play, if a free user can't get in and have some fun with it, there's no reason for the whales to be there, because most of the whales often play in friend groups or little like clans and niches and something like that, and not so much solo. Obviously there's a spectrum and variation, but they tend to have friends that they play with. And for a whale to thrive, to make money, there needs to be a big player base so that the person spending that money can enjoy their extra goodies. If there's nobody there to show off to, nobody that cares, or if the player base is all whales and no regular gamers, then everybody's got the good stuff and it's not like special, you can't show it off. In the same way that no man is an island, no whale is an ocean unto itself. If you get the balance of the game lopsided, if you get those whales up to like 10, 15, 20%, your game gets really screwball and it ends up being like Moneyball and not so much an actual game. And as you ramp up monetizing the whales by offering them better and better things, which especially for mobile games, it's pretty awful. Like it just things that allow you to play better, to skip balance, things that are unfair. You push out more and more casual gamers and make it less fun to play. As the casual gamers leave, the game begins to erode, and it's just a whale war and a money and like attrition war, and it gets less and less fun. And the whales tend to move on to other games, because most of the games that monetize like this are free to play or just very cheap, low barrier to entry. So I think that in order to appeal to the whales, it's just as important to appeal to the free players and keep the game fun, fair, and balanced for them, so that they can have a game that they can thrive in and enjoy, and that the whales can enjoy their extravagance in. Guys, that is all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.